Today we are talking about what courageousness means in terms of neuroscience. We will discuss the science behind of it, but I do hope that you have watched the masterclass week 23 1 week before this masterclass. What's the difference between being brave and being courageous? I mentioned a little bit there the difference. Now let's dive deep into what courageousness actually is, and I am pretty sure that some of the things that I will mention to you, not only for you, for your brain, for your day-to-day habits, but also collectively what courageousness actually do neurologically. Let's dive in. Step inside the lab, leave the labels behind, discover the biology of a neurosensitive brain. From the genes to environments, the science is key. Welcome to the truth of NeuroHyperSensitivity, NHS, with Dr. Ayguen Sahin. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Dr. Ayguen Sahin, and today we are covering what courageousness is in the brain, different from what being brave is neurologically. We're covering today in this masterclass what courage actually is, how repetition builds courage, and I'm pretty sure something that you never heard before. And welcome here to my masterclass. Subscribe to our NeuroHyperSensitivity channel, and let's soon hit 1,000 subscribers. And if you don't know whether or not you are a neurohypersensitive person, then I encourage you to take our 5-question NHS quiz on my website. The link is in the bio of this channel, and you will then be eligible to join our NeuroHyperSensitivity community membership, where I can support you. We all can support each other. Yes, me as well as a person with neurohypersensitivity. Drive research, education, awareness, and policy changes coming right out of our neurohypersensitivity community membership. Very, very important mission. So I really do hope you can join, because the time is absolutely overdue to take care of people like us. Okay, so now the mirror neurons and collective courage. This is what we will cover also today. And then what blocks courage? What blocks you being courageous? And this will enable you to finally understand what courageousness is, so that you can take action literally today. And of course, we will talk about our audit. And without further ado, let's dive in. So when we talked about being brave is not a moment that you wait for fear to go away. It's actually the action through fear, with fear, as fear still is present. Courageousness is, we talked about briefly, that the switch between the fear that's literally caused by firing up the amygdala, the fear center, and switching towards the medial prefrontal cortex. We discussed that right last week. So this is the habit. This is the habit that I literally mentioned last week to bring, and we are literally talking about this pretty much in all of my master classes, how we switch from the amygdala towards and develop circuits towards the prefrontal cortex, right? The switching from the fear center, the threat center, towards the logic, so that we can take action. That's courage. That is the habit what you are building as you keep doing that. Keep doing that. Next week we'll discuss what I am confident means, and that is the end stage. But you need to build the habit to do so. And the reason for that is because neurologically it is exhausting for the brain to constantly take the fear away. I'm telling you this because I experience this myself. You don't have to just read all the books. It's literally not rocket science. If you literally follow what's going on in your brain, it's exhausting to constantly keep pushing the fear off and to bring logic in it is exhausting, so that you can overcome the fear, to overcome the freezing, and overcome procrastination and everything else that is happening fear related in your day-to-day life. It has to be gigantic. It literally can be opening an email, opening mailbox, writing that letter, writing that email, talking to your, I don't know, family members, talking to your lawyer, your landlord, your bank, whoever, whatever it is. So these are day-to-day life things that actually driven by fear. So we are discussing that because we are talking about practical neuroscience. And by each courageous act, the anterior cingulate cortex, which is the mediator between the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala, so it acts as a mediator. So that anterior cingulate cortex gets stronger and stronger and stronger every time we do a courageous act. And the more we do this act, the more our anterior cingulate cortex, the mediator, gets stronger. Our courageousness becomes a habit. And that is the key word, a habit. That leads to later next week into being confident. But first, we need to develop the habit of courageousness. So now let's discuss then how repetition builds courage, because we just mentioned that. So once we do a courageous action, two things happen in the brain. The first is amygdala habitation. Stoltz and Burrows in 2024's research show that by doing this repetition, the firing up of the amygdala calms down. So the more you go into the habitation of calming down your amygdala and pushing towards the logic, the prefrontal cortex, the fear reduces by reducing the activity of the amygdala. It is not that you are silencing the amygdala. That's not natural. We need the amygdala to be fired up as necessary, but we making it quieter because we don't need our amygdala to be constantly active. That's the difference. Evolutionary, we have to have our amygdala fired up. The entire fear of threat, oh my god, a lion comes in, or a bear, or oh my god, something like evil happening. So our entire amygdala is fired up. We get the adrenaline pumped up, the stress hormones and cortisol levels goes up. These are all normal. We discussed this multiple times before. But what's happening here is we needed to quiet down and regulate it. That's the key word. We need to regulate it so that it's not non-stop active and we operate from fear, from threat, which leads us to freeze. And hence my procrastination guidebook, please pre-order it right now. It's still available on pre-order. I need 4 more people to pre-order it. Amber got it. So it is a very comprehensive procrastination, how to overcome procrastination based on freezing. And no, I researched it, nowhere in no library ever you find this resource, because nobody focus on the freezing, the amygdala. If you really want to overcome your procrastination, you need that guidebook. It's on my website, draygenshahin.com/overcome-procrastination, and you can pre-order it. And after I get 4 people to pre-order, you will receive it, and then it price goes actually up to the normal. Currently it's still in the pre-order pricing. So hop over there. The link is also in my bio, and I will also link it down below because it's absolutely important for the series here, what we're discussing. And the second, what's happening in the brain is then once our behavior shifts, becoming courageous, then what's happening is that our behavior shifts from the prefrontal cortex to the basal ganglia. And when that happens, it literally takes off the pressure, the exhaustion from the prefrontal cortex. That's what we want. We want the basal ganglia now to get the final job, because that's when the habits gets built. No longer we constantly engage the prefrontal cortex, because as I said, it's exhausting for the brain to constantly shift and bring the logic in. I mean, I can tell you it's exhausting to, okay, now we will do that. But once we build the habit of it, and again, we mentioned this last week in our audit, not the gigantic, like from Monday through Sunday, I ask you to follow and do some brave action, nothing gigantic, but small in a day-to-day life, so that you can build a habit towards it and shift your focus, because we talked about the reward system, dopamine system gets activated. So you will develop the habit, and once you say, and we briefly talked about this last week, once you say you shift your brain and bring from the amygdala into your medial prefrontal cortex, whatever you change your mind to about when you open that email, what happens, and bring something positive into it. We just literally, I gave you examples last week's video. Then the same thing with open emails, writing that letter, sending that email, calling that person, whatever you put your mental shift into. When you turn this into a habit, every time you do that action, then finally that moves into the basal ganglia, and you can release finally the prefrontal cortex, be non-stop active and constantly create those circuits and shift the pathways. So finally the basal ganglia can be building that habit, and you no longer even need to think about it. It's automatic. Like, I'm opening that email, I'm opening the mailbox, like whatever, because I know it will be rewarded. Whatever we said the reward is, or whatever we said that's happy, whatever we said changed our mind too. Makes sense? So now I want to talk about something very, very important and nobody talks about. And this is the mirror neurons and collective courage. So what that is that once you say, for example, on YouTube or TikTok, wherever, you see somebody do a courageous action. Let's say it's an inspirational leader, or I see this a lot when people literally copy me. They see, if she can do it, I can do it too. If she does it, I can. I mean, I see this a million times, okay, in every area of my life, right? I do extreme sports, I don't know, whatever I wear, or any action that I do, people find it like, oh my God, if she can do it, I can do it too, and they start to copy. But what it also is that their mirror neurons are activated, because once you see another person, let's say if you see a YouTube video where somebody, like a hiker, right, if you follow the news, overcome a bear attack, and then you see how that person did it or was able to do it, and then next time, if you, God forbid, are in such a situation, you will immediately remember, because you associated that courageousness act with that person, how they did it. So your brain take that, even though you never did this before, you saw it before, and you can do it too. Because it becomes like a memory that you have while watching that, and that's the mirror neurons activating your courageousness. As I said, people also take that, copying that mirroring neurons also from you. That's, as I said, I always live my life with habits that consciously or subconsciously that I always believed in. and wanted to change the world this way. See, that's exactly what be the change you want to see in the world. This is like, I lived by it. Not only I love Mahatma Gandhi and his quote, but I lived by it literally since my childhood. Although I way later learned about his quote, but I started to live as an example because I was 12 years old. I was in 7th grade. There was a book in a class. There was one quote that I lived it's something similar to what Mahatma Gandhi said, but it's something like, it was a Turkish quote, and said something like, live like whatever you don't want other people not to do, or something like that. Oh my God, I just couldn't translate that, but whatever it is. So it's something similar to what Mahatma Gandhi said, because you will be, whatever you don't want other people to do, don't do it yourself, kind of thing. So I always, since age of 12, lived that way. That's why everyone literally not only like saw me as a role model, from literally from childs to adults, elderlies. And I've been told multiple times by parents that even their daughter or son is my age, they would say, I want my child to be your roommate because they can get good habits from you. Like, what? Like, dude, I'm not your babysitter, right? But that actually happened. I've been literally told that, and ruined my college life. But in any way, I'm a total mental faculties. But in any case, I've been multiple times, like, parents would always show me as an example to their children, and naturally also children to see me as an example. And my cousins would tell me now as an adult, remember as a kid you said this and this. So I never forget this my entire life, and this is exactly what we are doing in our, and I guess I took this my style to our cancer organization, and hence we are the United Nations awardees, because this method actually saves life. Okay, so I mean, I guess my entire life living as an example wasn't for nothing. Okay, so you can literally do that too. And so the inspirational, motivational leader, what you're following, can be also your courageousness guide. But I'm just seeing this also on the other side of the coin. You can hopefully see the fakeness in other people that way too, right? So I'm not going to go into that because this is not really the topic here, but also can, I mean, nobody talks about this, but can also act the other way around. So if you see that, oh my God, like this is actually quite fake, if you see somebody motivational leader or like an inspirational leader, like a woo-woo person or like a fake spiritual person, and that you are following, and then once you develop your own brain, your neural faculties, then you can see how fake they actually are. So then you can actually take away your mirror neurons and focus on somebody, because then you will recognize who actually is the courageous one, who actually is the one that your neurons can mirror. Now, very important then, what blocks courage then from developing? Did you guess it? Did you? It's the inconsistency. That, my friend, is exactly what will block your courageousness. Why? Because we just said the repetition is the key here, because the repetition builds the habit, and finally we need to bring all of our activity down to the basal ganglia, so it becomes automatic, a habit, instead of constantly activating and building, exhausting, and so much energy goes into there to getting constantly the threat system activated towards the prefrontal cortex and then prefrontal cortex again, and then inconsistent activities literally what we'll be doing is to activate the threat system over and over again, because it doesn't become a habit, it doesn't become automatic, it's all over again, a new circuit all over again, as if something new just happened. So we don't want that. We need consistency. Let's say if you already have in your brain, okay, one time you said, okay, say for example you have a hard time opening an email or a mailbox or sending that letter or doing that phone call with your family member, whatever it is, or your bank, your lawyer, as I said, then whatever you said to shift your mind into the positivity and to really make it so that you can actually do it, and then you did it and it worked, that, my friend, you should do it every single time. Every time you need to say that. Every time you just do it. And then you don't even then think about it. Think about it, whatever the threat was, whatever that fear was, because it's like already a habit. Then you move on to the next fear, maybe, you know? This is how it works. This is exactly what we need to do to break that inconsistency so that the habit can be built. And that brings us to our assignment for the week, and this is the courage audit. The courage audit is you need to track from Monday through Sunday, no dates, literally from Monday to Sunday, 7 days, brief with 2 minutes, 2 sentences of answering each of the questions for every day. And then at the end of the week, there's an assessment of the entire week, and this will be serving as your core data. And when you want to work one-on-one with me, we are using this as your core data, raw data, and then we can create a personalized protocol for you to overcome whatever that issue is. But of course, we cannot do any of those without our health regulation audit. Why? Because we need to know what's actually underlying physiologically going on. Maybe your sleeping issues, maybe your inflammation, maybe your migraine, whatever, depression, any, and also movement. You even go walk outside, or do you sit the entire day on the couch? We need those information, your 3 key elements to follow and to see what actually is, if everything is set in your body, so that we can build on whatever this is. If your body is firing up with inflammation, you have bloating, you have constipation, you have diarrhea, your joints hurts, you have brain fog, you have itching, we need to address that first. So if you want to work one-on-one with me, I will definitely 1000% ask for your health regulation audit data. And then on top of it, whether it's a Bravery audit or courage audit, whatever audit it is, whatever you want to overcome, or procrastination, that's addition to that. We need to see your health, core health first. Okay, so that wraps it up. So again, the courageousness is, courage is the habit you've developed, bringing it from the amygdala to the prefrontal cortex. And then next week we are discussing what confidence is. What has this to do, anything to do with courage? We will learn this next week. So I hope I will see you in the audit, in my one-on-one work with you, or in our NeuroHyperSensitivity community membership, or in our NHS Neuroplasticity program, where all of these 52 masterclasses, including audits, including protocols, sit on my website, drayguensahin.com/courses. And of course, I will see you in next week's video, where we discuss the confidence. But before then, hit the like button, subscribe. Let's reach us 1,000 subscribers so I can help you much more. And of course, let me know in the comments, what courageous action have you done coming from last week? I want to know. Take care. I will see you in the next video next week.